Kirisi, who is in charge of our state, and our MPCC President, Megha Chandra, and dear friends. You know, I have been saying this, as Supriyaji also said already, that in post-colonial India, independent India की history में ऐसे घटना हुआ ही नहीं in इस देश में. It has never happened. The manner of the constitutional mechanisms have collapsed. The 60,000 people rendered homeless, thousands of them, as we speak here, they are languishing in relief camps. जो बंटवारे के टाइम में जो हुआ था, during the time of partition in 1947, it is exactly the same thing. You will feel so bad if you happen to visit that in your own country, we are reenacting the same tragedy. If you visit those relief camps, you will sense it. Our Prime Minister seems to be more concerned with crises and conflicts in other parts. And just as people used to say, Europeans used to look at Africans and Asians, jo Hutus and Tutsis were fighting among each other. It is their problem. And what we as European can do kind of things, दूर से देखने का जो एक तरीका है, I think sadly the Prime Minister of this country seems to be doing exactly the same. He thinks that conflict in Ukraine is more important than the crisis in his own country, in Manipur. Either he doesn't think that Manipur deserves that kind of interest, or he doesn't think that Manipur is part of this country. Otherwise, I am sure that he would not have allowed to linger this violence in the state of Manipur. It is sad at one level, and it is a sense of indignation and frustration among the people is really bad. Please mark my word, people started saying that please go back all the Indian armed forces, we'll deal our situation ourselves, which is not a good sign for the country. The country must know when you collapse your institutions, when you allow your citizens to be subjected into this kind of an humiliation and crisis, people are bound to respond in one way or the other. I just wanted to say this is not only the violence and human tragedy, there is also an institutional and constitutional collapse. That's very important. The state subject, law and order, is unconstitutionally has taken over by the central government. Mr. Kuldeep Singh was appointed on 4th May 2023. First, he was appointed as a security advisor. And then on 31st of the same month, he was again appointed as a chairman of the Unified Headquarters, which is commonly referred to as Unified Command. What is this? Unified Command or Headquarters. This is where you have the representative of the Army, the BSF, the CRPF, the paramilitary forces like Assam Rifles, Manipur Police, IB and Intelligence Unit. Everybody is there to coordinate. The mandate is to deal with the security and law and order situation in the state. And now that we have flagged off these issues long time back, who is in charge of the state of Manipur? And surprisingly, the state government has been silent. They have been following this kind of subversion of constitutional mechanism themselves. So there is a serious subversion of constitution, the federal structures. I just want to remind you, some of you, that there's Baba Saheb Ambedkar once said, there is a sovereign and plenary authority of the state cannot be eroded. Law and order is absolutely the domain of the state government. So this government, surprisingly, not only have presided over the violence, the state government, they have also played along with the central government in the subversion of the constitution itself. So defending Manipur right now is also defending Indian constitution, that the federal structure remains intact. And I think this is something that we must keep in our mind. And I think we have crossed all limits. The constitutional propriety, from the dimension of humanity, आप लोग सोचिएगा कि इस देश का प्राइम मिनिस्टर जो है उसके दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है. I started thinking like that now. What is there? Is it some kind of a psychological breakdown that you don't feel the need to intervene? वो बोलता रहता है कि CM is cooperating with us, obviously through the subversion, and as Supriyaji has already pointed out, one is playing a victim or a defender of the state. Makes no sense to me. So I normally avoid talking about state government now. I mean, it's beyond that. It's the government of India which is solely responsible for the subversion of the constitution and the tragedy. 60,000 central troops. How is it possible that people lost life? Manipur's population is like a district of Delhi. 33 lakhs was around that. And 22 square kilometers, 1,000 kilometers. Such a small state, you have a presence of 60,000 troops. What they have been doing? What is our defense minister, what are our home ministers doing? So it is not only prime ministers. The entire cabinet is responsible for this. And for the rest of the country, I am appealing as a representative of those people in our temple of democracy. Do not watch this tragedy like the Europeans or the Westerners have done when tragedy happens in Rwanda. The fight between Tutsis and Hutus, are you going to say that, oh, Kuki and Meiteis are fighting? That attitude is what the government of India is trying to preach by allowing this violence to go on for 16 months. And I think our leader Rahul Ji is very decent when he said the Prime Minister should visit. He has appealed as a national leader. I often wonder if none of the national leaders have not visited, what would have people felt? They would have felt abandoned. The government of India has already abandoned the people of Manipur, and thankfully our party leaders have not. And today also you can see that AICC is still organizing a press conference. That shows whether you are a small state or a big state, all Indians are Indian, all union states of these unions are equally deserving of the dignity that each of the constituent unit of this country must have. I think this is something that I want to place in front of you. Please communicate this message and make it sure that the Prime Minister at least comes back to his senses and try to intervene decisively, ask his security forces to act, rein in the violence, and denounce all kind of sectarian-based political demands. That kind of politics must also be rejected. Only then this peace will come back. These two needs to be done. I think the people have already spoken out, the people of Manipur, despite their tragedies. And I think the situation is, if you allow this to go on, the kind of sentiment, I hope still that it remains towards the BJP. It should not turn towards the country. And the BJP is making in such a sensitive state the sense of abandonment and neglect, and in fact also complicit in some way with the violence is not a good sign for this country. I think government of India must realize this sooner the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'd now request Girish ji to make his statement.
Thank you, Madam. Over last 16 months since the Manipur crisis started, Rahul Gandhi ji visited thrice. 3 times he has made serious attempts to bring peace to the state and whatever way he can contribute. In his last visit, after visiting all the camps, he called on the governor and appealed with the governor, had a long discussion with the governor, and governor nicely cooperated with him with his sincere efforts. She called the senior officers in that meeting, and we felt that she was serious in resolving the crisis. Rahul ji made very serious suggestions after meeting the cross-section of the society in Manipur. And there was a serious attempt to resolve the issues from the Manipur governor point of view. we really don't understand the intention of our Prime Minister, whether he's deliberately allowing this Manipur situation to go out of hand, whether he's having some serious intentions, any hidden agenda on that. These doubts are raised because the governor was immediately, we still do not know, nobody understands why the governor was immediately transferred and the part-time governor was brought in. Whether she made an attempt to resolve the crisis along with Rahul Gandhi ji, or whether she cooperated with Rahul Gandhi ji, we didn't really have a serious doubts. Our Prime Minister is ignoring Manipur since last 16 months. Time and again, people of India, people of Manipur and Congress party has been demanding with him only to visit Manipur and to make a strong statement and to make serious attempts to resolve the crisis. We are not hearing anything from the Prime Minister. On the contrary, he silenced one side, and now what has started in Manipur since the 1st September, what our PC President has explained detail, where the sophisticated weapons were used as if it was going like a war situation. The people of Manipur are in pain, they are in fear, and we all are concerned about it. Our Kharge ji expressed the serious concern. Our Venugopal ji also raised this issue. Rahul Gandhi ji has appealed the Prime Minister again and again. And now we have it raises the serious questions about the leadership abilities of our Prime Minister. Whether he has no ability to resolve the crises that are happening in our small state like Manipur. These are the serious doubts that are being raised in the minds of people. And we also feel same that the Prime Minister is not able to resolve the small state, where he was saying with pride about his 56 inches. We also raise serious doubts about his intention on the national security, because what is happening in the Manipur is a serious breach of national security, as well as the basic human empathy. If Prime Minister of our country is not able to take a stand on this issue, I think he's not a Prime Minister anymore, it looks like. So we demand with the Prime Minister to break his golden silence on the Manipur is concerned, and his decisive action is expected. Still we are hoping against the hope to restore the peace in Manipur, and his continued inaction will only further erode the trust of the people in his leadership. We are here just not for politics. This is the matter of humanity and the national security and of the future of the Manipur. We demand with the Prime Minister that he should fully crack down by the central government on these insurgent groups, as well as the immediate investigation into the use of high-tech weaponry. We expect Prime Minister to visit the Manipur soon and to act positively. Thank you.
थैंक यू वेरी मच. आपके सवालों का स्वागत है, और सवाल अगर आप मणिपुर पर पहले करें तो बहुत हम लोग कृतज्ञ रहेंगे. एक बड़ी त्रासदी ये देश झेल रहा है. इस देश का एक राज्य 16 महीनों से जल रहा है, और ये प्रधानमंत्री की क्षमता का ही नहीं, उनकी नीयत पर भी सवाल उठाता है. दिस इज नो लॉन्गर, like my esteemed colleague said, it no longer is about the Prime Minister's ability, it is also about his intent as far as handling of Manipur is concerned. Yes, sir.
सुप्रिया जी, जिस मणिपुर के हिंसा का आपने जिक्र किया, लगभग 226 से अधिक लोग जाने गंवा चुके हैं, 40,000 लोग बेघर हो चुके हैं. कहीं न कहीं जिस तरह के हथियारों का प्रयोग हुआ है और जैसा कि आपने कहा प्रधानमंत्री की क्षमता पर यह प्रश्न चिन्ह तो खड़ा होता है, साथ ही साथ जो हथियार आए मैक्सिमम बाहर से आए हैं, तो क्या ये विदेश नीति का फेलियर, सुरक्षा का भी फेल का मामला है?
ये सिर्फ विदेश नीति का नहीं, ये हर स्तर पर सरकार के फेलियर का मामला है। और ये फेलियर और ये विफलता सबसे पहले केंद्र सरकार की है। इतनी हाई टेक्नोलॉजी वाले हथियार कहां से आ रहे हैं, ड्रोन कहां से हमला कर रहे हैं, रॉकेट कहां से लॉन्च हो रहे हैं, आज आरपीजी हर हाथ में है मणिपुर के, कहां से आ रही है ये सिर्फ सुरक्षा व्यवस्था का फेलियर नहीं है लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का स्टेट में, ये होम मिनिस्ट्री का, ये डिफेंस फोर्सेस का और ये प्रधानमंत्री का फेलियर है। इसमें तनिक भी दो राय नहीं है, इसमें तनिक भी संदेह नहीं है। और फेलियर सबसे बड़ा यह है कि इस देश का चुना हुआ प्रधानमंत्री के अंदर ना ये मर्यादा है ना नैतिकता है कि वो 16 महीने से जलते हुए एक राज्य में जाए। इससे बड़ा विफलता और क्या होगी? In case you want, any of you want to add, please just whenever. Yes. जी। देखिए सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि एक चीफ मिनिस्टर वहां पर कठपुतली की तरह सरकार, केंद्र सरकार यहां से चला रही है। वो कहते हैं खड़े हो जाओ, वो खड़े हो जाते हैं, वो कहते हैं बैठ जाओ, वो बैठ जाते हैं, वो कहते हैं ये बोलो तो वो ये बोलते हैं। असलियत है कि कठपुतली की जो डोरे हैं वो नई दिल्ली में है। आपके अंदर अगर जरा सी भी नैतिकता और मर्यादा होती तो आपने बीरेन सिंह को पहले ही बर्खास्त कर देना था। आज की तारीख में वो ये स्वांग और ये ड्रामा रच रहे हैं कि अब मेरे पास सिक्योरिटी का कंट्रोल नहीं है, मुझे दे दीजिए वापस कंट्रोल। 16 महीने से आप क्यों सो रहे थे? मेरा अपना मानना है कि ये जो स्वांग सारा है ये इसलिए रचा जा रहा है क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री ने सुध लेने की नहीं सोची है। देखिए आप मुद्दे से मत भटकिए। मुद्दा बीरेन सिंह, मुद्दा मणिपुर में जो फिर से हिंसा भड़की है वो है, लेकिन सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा है कि क्या इस देश के प्रधानमंत्री को जरा सा फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है कि इस देश के एक राज्य में यह हो रहा है। चुनाव के पहले से यह हिंसा भड़की हुई है। आपने चुनाव प्रचार मणिपुर के अगल बगल वाले राज्यों में किया, आपके अंदर इतनी हिम्मत नहीं थी कि आप मणिपुर जा सके। अब तो चुनाव बीत गया, एक दिन का टाइम निकालिए। नेता प्रतिपक्ष होकर राहुल गांधी वहां पर 3 बार चले जाते हैं, शांति की अपील करते हैं। ये सारे मामले, ये सारी बातें आकर नरेंद्र मोदी जी के, इट स्टॉप्स एट हिज डोर स्टेप। द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया हैज टर्न्ड अ ब्लाइंड आई to a state of this country that's been burning. Sure. Both of them can answer one by one.
This is not a question of whether it should be given to बीरेन सिंह or not. जो पहले ही लॉ एंड ऑर्डर जो है कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली से लेके पोस्ट कॉलोनियल पीरियड तक बहुत साफ लिखा हुआ है कि इट इज़ द सॉवरेन डोमेन ऑफ द स्टेट। बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने ये खुद बोला कि स्टेट, हमारा एक फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर है, उसमें स्टेट का लॉ एंड ऑर्डर उसके हाथ में होना चाहिए। है पेपर में अभी तक होम मिनिस्टर है मणिपुर में, चीफ मिनिस्टर है, लेकिन हकीकत में डी फैक्टो पावर जो है सेंटर चला रहा है। इसीलिए मैं बोल रहा हूं कि जो फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर को इरोड किया गया, सो इट इज ऑल्सो अन सबवर्जन ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। सिर्फ ये मणिपुर को डिस्ट्रॉय करने की बात नहीं है, दिस इज ऑल्सो अ सबवर्जन ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोप्राइटरी ऑफ दिस कंट्री। तो देयरफॉर द क्वेश्चन ऑफ वेदर इट शुड और शुड नॉट बी इज नॉट अ क्वेश्चन, बिकॉज ऑन पेपर द पावर इज स्टिल विद द स्टेट, बट हकीकत में है ही नहीं। तो उसने इफ वो प्रोटेस्ट करना था तो पहले ही हो चुका होगा ना। अभी दिस इज अ ड्रामा, बट आई हैव बीन सेइंग दैट्स व्हाई सुप्रिया जी ने जो ठीक कहा कि द एंटायर थिंग स्टॉप्स एट द डोर ऑफ आवर प्राइम मिनिस्टर। सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने ये ड्रामा खिलाया भाई, एक विलिंग पार्टनर है उसका। आई हैव बीन कॉलिंग इट लोकल सत्रा, तो उसको इस्तेमाल करके कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन भी बर्खास्त किया गया। I mean, it has been destroying the constitutional propriety as well as you are destroying a state. Its economy has gone. जो हमारा president ने बोला, it is in a shamble. People, normal life is completely destroyed for 16 months. And I'm repeating it. हमारे Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Indira जी ने क्या किया था बांग्लादेश में? He saw the human empathy and said, I can't watch this. Don't ask me to keep watching over this one. ये इस पाकिस्तान के बारे में बोला था प्राइम मिनिस्टर होके भी, देश की बाहर के बारे में भी बोला था. This is happening inside the country. अभी तक वो जाके, you can say that, remember that it is his own cabinet, state cabinet is fighting among each other. उसका घर ठीक संभाल नहीं पाया तो देश कैसे संभालोगे? That's the question that we are facing. It is the cabinet of Manipur government is splitted, central के डिक्टेट में सब चल रहा है, and the prime minister. In fact, the state government has been put up as a facade to protect the prime ministers here before the election. तो election तो खत्म हो गया अभी. पहले उसको खत्म होता. I mean, if it's done anything to the government, entire blame would have come on the prime ministers before the election of the Lok Sabha. That's what the game was played. And once that part is over, now that is going to be blame on local and center, and the entire game mein abhi tak the tragedy is continuing. People are still dying. And this is India. This is Manipur is the 19th state of this union. This is not Rwanda. That's why I said European ne jo dekha tha, European ka jo nazariya hai, that should not be there in this prime minister. बहुत बोलता है कि decolonization करना है, law change करना है, लेकिन सोचने का तरीका जो है is almost like that. That's very bad for this country to have this kind of a ethos represented by the government of India.